Hi Stampers, this is Kim with Great Inspirations. Welcome to my Stamp Happy Holidays video for this week. And today we are going to talk about card layouts and what happens when you are making cards or need to make some cards and you are totally out of ideas. Well, one of my go-to layout designs isn't really a design. It's more of an idea that puts my design into motion. And I call it the It Starts With 3. Now, a lot of you have already heard about how the number 3 in design, it's sort of a magic number, or at least odd numbers are. But the number 3, when you use 3 elements on a card, it tends to be visually pleasing and balanced. So that's what I do. I think, what 3 elements can I put on a card? And then I will go from there. So that's what I did for these 3 cards here. Start with some snowmen. And here it was the ho, ho, ho. And then over here it was 3 gifts. So do your 3 elements always have to be the same? No. My snowmen are snowmen, but they're not the same. It could be anything. For example, instead of ho, 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 it could be have a Merry Christmas. Well, that's 4, but you kind of get the idea. They don't have to match. And you just start. That's your starting point. So this is the first card that I made. And I have this stamp set, and it's called Bubble Snowmen. And that's where I got these. And it is from the Woodware Craft Collection. Now, many of you know I was a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator for years and years until April. And that's when, just because of things going on in my life, I decided it was time to stop being a demonstrator. So for years, all I had used was Stampin' Up! Products, simply because I got a commission on them. So I thought, well, I should buy for myself. And I was perfectly happy with that. But now that I'm no longer a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and believe me, I have enough supplies to last for forever and a day, but I do run out of things from time to time, like adhesives, run low on some cardstock, that kind of thing. So I decided I would give myself a monthly budget, and I would allow myself to get a few new things every now and again. So that has introduced me to a whole new world of card making. And this little stamp set just really appealed to me. So I purchased it and I used it, and I just love it. So on my corresponding blog post, you will find the name and where to, you can look if you would like to get this stamp set, and also this one. Anyway, we'll go ahead and we'll talk about my process for these cards. So I had in mind that I would do the 3 snowman heads. And I knew they weren't that large, but that's okay. I'll put it on a 4.5 square card, which I did. And I arranged them in a way that seemed pleasing to me. I put the greeting on, and I needed something else. And that's where these little teeny tiny snowflakes came in. They took up some space, and they added just that little something to the card that made me really glad that I'd made it. And also, what I had done before I put anything on my little focal mat here was I used a blending brush and some very light blue ink. Actually, it's tumbled glass from the Distress Oxide, to just give it a little bit of color in the background. Then I stamped, cut out, and colored my little snowman faces. Now this guy, he's not just a face, he's a whole snowman. So I just had to, poor little thing, cut his head off and put him on here. And then I used these little snowflakes. Now those are from Stampin' Up! and they are currently available. They are from their current catalog. The, what is it called? The September through December catalog. And then all I did was put a panel inside, sending holiday cheer. And then here is another little snowman head that's included in that stamp set I told you about. So this stamp set is called Silly Santas, and it has coordinating dies, and it's from Simon Hurley. And I just loved it. But when I was thinking about this card, I was thinking the ho-ho-hos were bigger. So I got them out and I looked, oh dear, they're not as big as I thought they were. Okay, I'll put them on a 4.5-inch square card, which I did. But there was still a lot of room on that card. So I kind of rearranged them again and thought, I can stamp one of the Silly Santas, which I did. And look, he's saying, you can see his mouth is open, ho, ho, ho. And I put him down here in this corner to balance out my 3. Because remember, we're starting with 3. It doesn't mean we'll necessarily end up with 3 elements on our card front. Now to add a little bit more pizzazz to this card, I ran the background through an embossing folder, and it's called Snowflake Sky. It is from Stampin' Up, and it is still current. And then on the inside, these are just some more of the greetings that come with the Silly Santas stamp set. Santa Claus is coming to town, wishing you a magical Christmas season. Now I had one stamp set that Stampin' Up, it's retired. It's called Sending Cheer. And that was a stamp set that I just loved, and I used it a lot last season. So I decided to use 3 of the gifts from that stamp set. And I die cut them, and then I die cut the bows. But after I die cut them, I ran them through an embossing folder to give some texture. And then I matted them on a piece of white cardstock. And if you look really close, very closely there, you might see some little gold dots, some little flecks. And I just used some metallic watercolor paint, wet my paintbrush, got a lot of paint on it, then held it over the panel and just hit the paintbrush with my bone folder, and it spattered some little gold flecks on there just to add a little something more to the card. And of course I've added this embossed and die cut sentiment and added 3 little gold pearls. But it started with 3, but I knew that these were large enough I could put it on a regular A2 size card. So that was my process for designing these 3 cards. Now, look through your stash, see what you have. And it doesn't even have to be for a Christmas card. You can use this for a technique or a method to come up with a design for a birthday card, for, thank you, get well, for any occasion. It all starts with 3. And that's just my little tip for this week. Now, more information about these cards and the products that I use to create them will be available on my corresponding blog post. And the link to that blog post will be found in the description of this video. Thank you for joining me this week. And until next time, stamp happy.